is going on, Fit Fam? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice, the founder of Nomadic Fitness, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food without any restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder so you can build a banging hourglass body, feel amazing in it, and stay this way year-round for life. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and if you're coming on back, thanks so much for joining for another video. All right, fam. In this video, I'm going to get into some real talk with you. I'm gonna be pretty raw, pretty honest. It's gonna be a little bit different from my other videos. And what we're gonna cover is what it really takes, the real work, the real focus and intention that is involved if you want to really change your body. If you want to build a really banging fit physique, just exactly the amount of work and the amount of time that is gonna go into that and what you are really signing up for. So here's the thing, it does take a lot of work to get really fit. I think we all kind of know this because obviously there's not that many people in the world who have super amazing fit physiques. I actually saw this stat the other day that said there are more millionaires in the United States than there are people with six-pack abs. That's literally how rare it is to be fit these days. And that's because it takes quite a lot of discipline. I honestly do think it is a lot easier to become wealthy and make a lot of money than it is to get a really fit body and maintain one, because in order to get a really fit body, you have to be willing to say no to more things and just be willing to be more controlled, more focused overall, because the biggest thing that is going to get you a really fit body is the way that you eat. You also do need to train the right way, and obviously being really consistent with working out is also a big commitment that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort over endless years of your life. But pretty much everybody I talk to, including myself, can usually agree that the working out is the easy part. That's actually the fun part for me. I love going to the gym. It is something that I look forward to. Of course, I have days where I don't really feel like going, but I know that I'm gonna be happy when I do go, which is always the case because I always end up feeling so good, so high on the endorphins after. But the thing is, the working out is easy because a workout maybe just takes you an hour of your day. That's something that anybody can do. But the thing that takes a lot of commitment, a lot of discipline, a lot of intention and focus is your food. And it's not because you have to be really miserable with what you eat or you have to eat very little. Not at all. Obviously, this entire channel is dedicated to teaching you the opposite of that, but it is that you need to be very focused. You need to be very intentional with how you're eating, and you need to ensure that you are eating correctly to achieve your goals. AKA, you need to be hitting your macros. Your macros are your protein, fats, and carbs, in case anybody doesn't know. And in order to build the sexy banging physique that you can actually keep, and one that you also feel very good in with lots of energy, lots of stamina, you need to be fueling your body correctly. You need to make sure that you are getting plenty of protein, lots of carbs, and then not going crazy on the fats. You definitely still need to eat fats, but that's the one that's the easiest to overeat in today's world, because fat is what makes food taste really good. So when you're out in the world and when you're eating in restaurants, you can be pretty damn sure that most of the time you're gonna be getting a very high fat intake and then not enough carbs and protein to be relative to that. So what does this mean then? It means that if you wanna get a really fit body, you need to be constantly cooking, meal prepping, and planning ahead what you are going to eat to hit your macros. I'm not gonna be going over in this video, by the way, what your macros should be. If you don't know what they should be, if you're not sure how to eat to get you from where you are now to where you wanna be, I have made many videos that go very thoroughly through this, most especially this video here. So make sure to click on that video if you wanna know how much you should actually be eating, what protein, fats, and carbs should you have, and then how to adjust them over time. So I'm gonna be really honest and say that recently, these last couple of weeks, I've actually been struggling with this a lot. I've been struggling with being consistent to hit my macros. Now, I still have been. I will say I had 1 week where I was just a little bit off, and I'm about 2.5 months now into my cut after finishing a 6-7 month long bulk. So that's what I've really done the majority of this year, is that I did 6-7 months bulking, and then now I'm cutting after that bulk. Within that time frame, I gained 15 pounds during the bulk, which is really crazy. That's obviously a lot of weight to gain in a short amount of time. But of course, I also did gain a lot of really great muscle while I was doing it, which was amazing. But obviously, when you're bulking, when you're eating in a surplus to really put on that sexy muscle, you are going to gain a little bit of body fat with it. You're gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable by the end. I definitely was, and I was really ready to start trimming down. So I have been cutting. I've been in that fat loss phase, and I've seen really good progress. I'm really happy with the way that my physique is looking. I still definitely feel like I have a bit more work to do. Me and my coach are probably still gonna be cutting for at least another 2 months, maybe even 3 or so. And I really just want to maximize as much fat loss as I possibly can. Now, that being said, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of intention, a lot of focus. So here's the thing, the work itself, I actually don't think is very hard. And that's why I feel conflicted to even make a video like this and to be coming on here and telling you, oh, it's so much hard work, because I feel like there's so much of that noise in the fitness industry where it's like, no pain, no gain, you gotta work really hard, you gotta suffer and struggle to get results. And yeah, I obviously get where that messaging is coming from, because obviously it does take work. You can't just do nothing and expect to get a really fit body. It takes quite a lot of work, quite a lot of time, effort, and intention. But I also don't want to scare people away, because the thing is, the reason that most people think getting fit is so much work is because they think they have to do very extreme, very miserable things, right? And this is what most people do. So the work in and of itself in a day is not really that hard. You just need to do good quality training sessions, and you don't need to do that many. I'm just doing 4 per week for about 1 hour per session. I know that's still something. It's not like I'm saying you don't have to work out at all, but obviously it's not the same as having to run really hard for an hour every single day. So you need to do quality training sessions. That's how you're gonna build your muscle. But then beyond that, obviously the thing is, you need to be hitting your macros, and you need to be doing that 6 out of 7 days per week. The reason that you don't have to do it on the 7th day is because no matter where you're at in the progress with your goals, you are entitled to one cheat meal, which I prefer to call an enjoyment meal or a free meal per week. So one time per week, you can go out, you can have pizza, you can have chicken wings and fries, you can even have a drink with it if you want. But outside of that, you need to be on point. You need to make sure you are getting the protein, carbs, and fats. And I also just want to make a point here and say there's a difference between tracking macros and actually hitting your macros. Because a lot of people will say they track macros, but they do it really inconsistently. And even when they do track, their intake is all over the place, okay? You're not hitting your macros if one day you're 20 grams over on fat, 50 grams under in protein, and 30 grams over on carbs. That's not hitting your macros. Hitting your macros is you are within 5 grams plus or minus for every single target. And that you do that consistently 6 out of 7 days per week. And on the 7th day, you wouldn't hit your macros because you do have the free meal. You don't have to take your free meal if you don't want to, but obviously a lot of people usually are gonna wanna have that one chance per week to just unwind, have a little bit of fun, and be social. So this is the thing, the work itself is not actually that hard. Hit your macros, do good quality training sessions. That's really all you need to do. Obviously, little things outside of that we all know we need to be doing in general for good health, like making sure we get enough sleep, managing stress, drinking enough water, that kind of stuff. But here is what makes it hard. Like I was saying before, anyone can do something really extreme for a couple of weeks and then just go back to their old shitty habits, right? What makes it hard is to be actually adhering, hitting your macros, not just tracking macros, hitting your macros, doing good quality training sessions, and adhering to that every single day for months and years on end. That is the part that makes it hard, and that is the part that the vast majority of the population is just not going to do, because the adherence and the consistency over such a long period of time is challenging, and a lot of people are just not going to want to stay focused for that long. And this is really the thing. Your body doesn't care. Your body doesn't care if you don't feel like hitting your macros or if you don't feel like working out. It has no say in how you feel about what you need to objectively, scientifically do to achieve your result. Your body doesn't care, right? You either do what you need to do to get results or you don't. And if you don't, you're not going to get the results, right? Now, I want to say another point with all of this, that this really comes down to how serious your results are and how big of results you want, okay? Because if you want to just kind of be relatively toned as a woman, you can do all of this without being quite so extreme. And I know this because I literally was that way for several years of my fitness journey. For several years of my fitness journey, I always had abs. I always was pretty lean. And now looking back, I'm actually not a huge fan of that time because I think I actually was too skinny, and I like a lot more what I'm going through now, where I have much bigger glutes, much more defined legs, and even in my upper body, I have more shape and definition because I put on so much more muscle than I did back then. Because back then, I really just kind of wanted to stay cut, stay lean, stay toned, see some lines, have kind of the smooth, firm skin, but I wasn't really trying to build all the shape and all the hourglass body because that comes from putting on a lot of muscle. So I know a lot of women would be very happy to look like the way that I did for all of these years through my fitness journey, where I was just kind of lean and toned, but not as shapely as I am now. So the good news is, if you want to get just to that point, it does not take as much effort as it does to really, really, really achieve a next level physique. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't take any effort. effort, it still does take quite a bit of focus, maybe just not quite as much as what I'm putting in right now, that in some ways is making me feel a little bit burnt out. Because through all those years, I still consistently went to the gym 5 days a week, and you don't have to go 5 days a week. I just did myself. I always lifted 5 days. Even just 3 or 4 is still plenty, but when I say consistent, I mean consistent. I don't mean that you go to the gym for a couple of days per week for a few weeks and then you stop doing it. I literally did this for years, like 6 years, 5 days a week in the gym without fail, other than, you know, maybe every now and then for a vacation or something, but overall consistently lifting. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was I still was pretty on top of my macros. I just wasn't eating enough to actually build muscle, which is why I was skinny. So I'd say I was still hitting my macros 4 or 5 days out of the week, sometimes 6. Sometimes I was more dialed in, and that's when I would get really lean and really cut. But then there were also long periods of time where I'd be more like, 4 days a week is enough. And then the other days I'm gonna kind of go out, eat with my friends, do what I want. And I will also say that I was still drinking quite a bit of alcohol at this time because, you know, I was kind of in my mid-20s. I wanted to have fun. I'm traveling the world. Obviously, a lot of the time when you socialize, alcohol is a big part of it. And because I wasn't being so strict with achieving this next level physique, I allowed myself to have that flexibility. However, things are very different for me now because now I've hired my own coach who has the exact physique that I want. So now I have this one-to-one coach, and I owe so much to her with the transformation I've had over this past year because she's guided me through how to really eat and train the right way to put on a lot of muscle, and really just educated me around what it really takes to build muscle. But I will say with that, it has made me get way more serious and way more dialed in on my results because now I'm accountable to someone. So I'm not gonna tell her every week when I have my check-in that, oh, you know, I just had a bunch of alcohol this weekend and I just went out for a bunch of meals with my friends and I only hit my macros 4 days this week. No, that's not gonna cut it. And this is why I hired somebody, because I wanted to get the next level results. I wanted to get serious. And especially since we're cutting right now, when you're cutting, your adherence needs to be the next level. When you're not cutting, when you're building muscle or you're reverse dieting, you can be a little bit more flexible. Obviously, you should still be really hitting your macros, getting in your workout, but maybe you can have 1 or 2 extra free meals out of the week and maybe hit your macros more like 5 days out of the week. But when you're cutting, the thing is, in order for a cut to be successful, in order to see the fat loss that you want, you have to be in that calorie deficit. And if you are not in that calorie deficit, you are not gonna see fat loss. And this is again what I mean, that your body doesn't care. Your body doesn't care if you don't want to hit your macros. It doesn't care if you didn't feel like it. You're either in the calorie deficit or you're not. And if you're not, your body's not gonna lose the fat. So since I'm in this fat loss phase, this is where I've started to just feel a little bit tired with it all. Because here's the thing, I'm living in Barcelona right now. It's a very fun city, of course. There's literally always stuff going on. People always inviting me out to things. And a lot of the time I feel a little bit restricted in the sense that, you know, I can't just be drinking a bunch of alcohol with everybody else. I can't be eating food and just kind of being on a whim of like, oh, well, let's see how I'm gonna hit my macros throughout the day. Hopefully it's gonna work. No, you have to be planned. You have to know I am going to hit my macros, and I know I'm gonna hit my macros because I literally planned out all of my food in my fitness pal. I made sure that it was within 5 grams of each of my macro targets, and then I prepared all of the food in my kitchen, put it in Tupperware containers, and brought it out with me for the day. That is the level of adherence, the level of dedication you need to have if you're really going to achieve next level results. Because of course it's easy to say, oh, I didn't hit my macros because, you know, I had visitors in town, so I went out with my friends and, you know, we were eating in restaurants, so, you know, I tried to kind of choose what was good, but it didn't really work. Again, if you're not in a fat loss phase, that is maybe okay, but if you are in a fat loss phase, that's just not gonna fly. You need to be completely dialed in order to see the progress that you want. And this is the part where I've been feeling a little bit burnt out. I was just traveling recently. My boyfriend was visiting me. We went to Mallorca for a couple of days. It was really beautiful and nice. But since we were gonna be out of the house the entire day, number one, I made sure that we got a place that had a kitchen because obviously there wasn't gonna be any other way we could prepare food. And then first thing I did in the morning was I prepared all of the food that we were gonna eat for the entire day, made sure that it was gonna hit my macros, wrapped it up, put it in Tupperware containers, and brought it out with us for the day. And that sounds so insane to so many people. And all the time, you know, when I'm bringing my Tupperware out to events here in Barcelona, not having alcohol with everybody, people are always like, you're weird, like that's insane that you do that. And I just explained to them, listen, I have fitness goals and I know it seems weird, but the thing is, if you're gonna have the types of results that very few people have, you obviously need to do what very few people are willing to do. And so yeah, I'm here to tell you that, trust me, it is not that fun. A lot of the time I'm like, I'm so freaking over this. I don't wanna do it. I wanna just feel free. I wanna feel like I can just go out, I can just have fun this weekend, and I can just eat as the day goes along. And again, you're not in a fat loss phase and otherwise you're really consistent throughout the week, that's probably fine to get away with. But when you are in that fat loss, when you really wanna get lean, you just have to remember that it is a choice that you are making. You are deciding that you want to get lean, because you don't have to be super, super lean. You can still be quite fit, still be very, very healthy without being crazy level lean. So you have to just realize that is a choice that you are making for yourself. And the only way that it's going to happen is adhering to those macros 100%, other than your one free meal. So yeah, fam, I just wanted to be really honest with you and show you that even the fit people that you look up to, fitness influencers, fitness coaches, whatever, and you think, oh my God, they have this great physique and they're just so motivated, they're so disciplined. I'm here to tell you that we are not motivated a lot of the time. I have not been feeling motivated for several weeks now, but I'm still just freaking doing it. And it's because, number one, I have a coach that I'm accountable to, that I'm investing money in. And I can tell you right now, if I didn't, there's no way that I would be achieving the results that I am, because I would give up, because I would just be like, oh, this is annoying, I don't want to do it, oh, whatever. I'm just going to do it during the week and have fun on the weekend. But because of that, I wouldn't be hitting the next level of results, right? Definitely being accountable to someone makes a huge difference, because if you're only accountable to yourself, it's very easy for you to kind of be half in, half out like that, and to just kind of give up the second that it's not immediately convenient. And then the second thing is that, yes, I'm in a fat loss phase. I have specific goals. I really just want to lean out as much as I possibly can during this phase and really show all the beautiful, sexy muscle underneath that I've worked so hard to gain before I go back into another long gaining phase. Because going back into a gaining phase, I'm most likely going to put on a little bit of body fat once again, because that's just going to happen when you're growing muscle. So I really want to make sure I get rid of as much fat as possible right now before we start doing that again, so that I can just gain without getting too thick or feeling too fluffy. So yeah, I'm just trying to be really honest with you all. And again, I'm telling you, it depends how serious your goals are. But if you want to have an amazing, amazing physique, this is what you're signing up for and the work that is involved. And like I said, the immediate day-to-day work in and of itself is not that difficult. It is just the consistency in the adherence over a very long period of time that gets difficult. You really, really, really need to think about it every day. Make sure that you are checking your boxes and be willing to do whatever it takes, even if it's going to be a little uncomfortable or a little bit weird, or people are going to think you're strange. You have to just be willing to do it anyways, because again, your body doesn't care. Your body is only going to change if you're doing what is required to make it change. So again, if you need help achieving any of these goals, definitely check out the videos in the link in the description that are going to walk you through how to eat, how to work out, that are going to teach you how to build a banging physique and how to adjust it over time. And of course, if you would like to be guided through this entire process, that is what I do as an online one-to-one nutrition and fitness coach. I've worked with hundreds of women all over the world of all different ages and backgrounds, whether they had a lot of fat to lose or whether they were kind of skinny fat to begin, and I've helped them achieve an amazing physique by guiding them through the process. So if you would like to have very high level accountability and expert guidance through this process, then click on the link below to apply to work with me one-to-one. All right, fam, thank you so much for checking out this video. Now, next, I want you to go watch this video here where I walk you through what my muscle gain transformation was, the 6-month bulk that I did this year, gaining 50 pounds, gaining a lot of muscle, obviously gaining a little bit of fat with that. So I want you to go hear the story here so you can understand exactly what is involved in really putting on some muscle and what to expect. I'll see you in that video.